Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is episode 2 of Disaster or New Meta. With this hero, I pretty much went back to 5k in 4 days of the new patch, and I want to show everyone why I think the hero is pretty strong. First of all, play any ranked game right now. The chances of you finding a Storm, Queen of Pain, Tinker, or Invoker are huge, and this hero destroys all of them in lane and also during the game. But we'll get into that later. For starters, I always like to start with no talisman and 3 branches, and that's what Maybe does as well. Some people go for Fairy Fire, and while it can help you get kills or survive against ganks, you get the same amount of damage, which is 2, but branches give you intelligence, and this hero is all about that Rick and Morty IQ. This hero is great in lane for a multitude of reasons. He's super fast, making it harder for you to die to ganks. He has a low mana, easy way to secure range creep last hits. He has a ton of harass, a long range slow to help your allies gank your lane as well as get away from ganks. And in my opinion, one of the big mistakes Skywrath mid players do level 1 is just spam the hell out of Arcane Bolt. This skill scales so well that you should use it once or twice to harass or get last hits, but you want to hold on some mana to use your level 2 or level 3 power spike to get solo kills. The way Maybe and I play is quite similar in the laning phase. You will fire a second null talisman before boot, not only because it synergizes with your kit, allowing solo kills, but because your base damage is not great. His attacking animation and projectile are decent though, so make sure to play like him. Don't move around too much, and when the last hit is near, just align yourself with the creep and go for it. Use Arcane Bolt to secure hard range creeps, and one thing Maybe does way better than me is holding his level 2 point here. If you get ganked, sometimes slow can help you out. Against other heroes like Viper, the silence allows you to not take damage from the passive as well as to nullify his Q, so well played for him. Your level 3 power spike is great. Not only Arcane Bolt lasts for as long as you're slow now, and with it, you're faster than any mid hero in existence, allowing you to land 2, sometimes 3 Arcane Bolts that increase 40% in damage from level 1 to level 2. Maybe even a little bit more if you already fared yourself your second null talisman. In this clip, you can see how many right clicks I dealt to Invoker to set up damage on him. It was not fatal, but since he got low enough, my supports were able to smoke, and thanks to the huge range of concussive shot, we get an easy kill without me putting myself in danger. We can see the effect of concussive shot here as well. Maybe he finds a regen rune, and make sure to harass Viper for a lot of damage before going for it. The slow makes sure he is faster even through the passive, and he is back to full HP and mana. Not exactly, but keep watching. This hero is so fast that he kites pretty much every support that tries to gank him. Pvgna shows up, and with a little bit of baiting, just an easy kill. We see the same burst potential showing up a little bit later. One big thing about Skywrath is his silence increasing magic damage. Pretty much every support hero relies on magic damage for ganks, and we see the mighty Viper exploding to the silence amp damage. It all goes back to prepping though. You don't want to overcommit. Just throw one Arcane Bolt and another one, pretend you care about CS, even use it on a range creep when needed, and when you can, just go for it. And I know what you're thinking. In my bracket, probably just going Radiance, farming Ancients level 1, there's no ganks. This is why you won. This is why, in my opinion, it's beyond necessary to have an Observer Ward in your lane. It's quite common for me to buy one, especially on nighttime, and if possible, I buy one after the first one expired, and I have that lane warded at least until the 10-minute mark. With wards, you're the king of the lane. With a lot of heroes that can, like, take someone out of the lane, for example, a Viper, what happens is that the mid hero is gonna jungle, and there's gonna be a support actually leeching experience from the lane. But Skywrath has so much range and so much burst damage that with Vision of the High Ground, you can actually take anyone out of the lane, and that's what's so beautiful about this hero. You're actually cutting the intake of experience and gold for the enemy team in 1/3, and this is why you can actually get a good net worth difference and experience difference in the early game, even if you don't get a lot of kills. Even without wards though, you're super fast, and it's hard for heroes to gank you. I don't even have boots here, and I survive. In regards to the item build, if I know I'm not against strong roamers like Pudge or Slahser, I will go second null talisman into bottle, into boots and arcanes, and that's the same thing that Maybe does, but in this game I decided to get boots first, since I wasn't able to fully dominate the lane. One thing a lot of people get wrong about Skywrath is that they think he's strong because of his ult, and that's completely wrong. His strength comes from the amp and the silence, as well as the spam ability of his Q at level 4, and I mean level 4 arcane bolt. That's why I only get 1 point of the ult, sometimes at level 11. If I have a hero like Void or another easy setup, sometimes I can get it at level 8 or 9, but getting at least level 2 or level 3 on the silence is what makes this hero shine. While Skywrath feels squishy because of the instant cast point on your silence, you're almost never afraid of fighting supports when you go for runes, unless they have vision of you. So that's why you want to have a ward in the mid lane that shows the rune as well. After you're level 7, most of the time your silence duration is enough for you to burst them before they even cast spells. I mentioned his ult beforehand, and this gank with Beastmaster, I could have Mystic Flare and it's a good combo with his ult, but it costs so much mana that it actually hinders how much you can do after the rotation. There's no mana sustaining the world that can handle early Mystic Flares being casted over and over again, and that's why maxing silence first is good. You can see Maybe doing the same build and killing Viper here. Maybe gets Mystic Flare level 8 because of how strong the slow from Void is, but at this point you're just diving people non-stop, and most of the time it doesn't really matter. If you have an ally and you have vision of an enemy, he's dead, and it's at this point that Maybe's build and mine start to diverge. I'm a firm believer of first item Aetherlands on this hero, while that's not the case for Maybe. This hero, regardless of what build you go for, is squishy and low HP. Kaya increases your damage and reduces your mana cost a little bit, but it gives you 0 mana regen, so that's the first flaw in my opinion. Kaya is increasing your damage without giving you other things that you want, like armor. This is why I always go for Aetherlands into Veil of Discord. This hero has pretty much 2 armor at level 10, and even when you're not against physical damage drafts, you're just heavily punished by it. In my opinion, Veil increases your magic damage pretty much the same amount than Kaya, while giving you things that you care about like HP and armor. In this clip I find Storm, and while I could get the kill without ulting, Spirit Breaker was there, so I wanted to make sure, but with Veil you can pretty much kill anyone with silence and 2 arcane bolts, and you just dominate the mid game very well with this hero. While I could probably get the kill with Kaya, there's a lot of situations where you just die because you're super squishy. A good showing of the power of early Aetherlands happens here. PA feels quite comfortable trying to kill me, but as soon as Repel ends and Omni heals himself, the silence being so long range nullifies PA ability to blink away after the hex, and it doesn't end there. Spirit Breaker finds Omni, and again, thanks to so much range, there is no chance for him to repel or go for another heal. The extra silence duration also proves its worth. Mystic Flare with Shadow Shaman seems like a lot of damage, and it is, but 1 silence Mystic Flare deals 650 damage at level 8, and 2 arcane bolts with silence plus 2 right clicks deal pretty much the same amount of damage, while costing 160 less mana. After Veil, sometimes I get Boots of Travel, but the item you really want is Aghanim Scepter. Paired with your level 15 talent, you actually farm waves relatively fast. In regards to the level 10 talent, since I go Veil, I would rather get more intelligence. Maybe goes move speed in a way to mitigate the fact he doesn't have that much cast range and armor. He also always goes for an early Boots of Travel. I'm more about the int, even though it feels like little int. 25 move speed is not that much for a hero like Skywrath, and when you have the cast range, move speed is a little bit less important. The silence on Sky has 700 cast range, and while that feels long, having Aetherlands gives you so much confidence going for any solo pickoffs. Lion shows up mid here, and he just melts. I find haste and pay attention how I wait the Veil cooldown slightly to go for the next play. The silence cast range is so big that Underlord doesn't even have time to go for a quick Pit of Malice to lock me in. The extra armor when going for plays like this also helps quite a bit, and with so much kill potential, even bulky cores like Underlord just melt for you. And this is the type of play that will propel your team towards more towers. While most of the games I won with this hero lasted 30 minutes, that's not to say this hero doesn't scale further into the game. The amount of damage you can deal provided you have a frontliner is insane, and that's why I always ask my carry to play the greediest carry he knows when I'm going for Skywrath mid. Remember though that this can backfire. Usually I like to last pick Skywrath mid, and if if like the enemy goes for less pick TA or less pick PA, I can sometimes not play Skywrath mid, and then we're both with 2 greedy cores. So of course this guide is not perfect, but I just want to show you guys what's my decision making when I'm going for picks and stuff like that. The thing with Skywrath mage is that you create so much space that you want someone actually using it, unless you go for a straight up push, but sometimes that type of thing doesn't really work that well when you just die and you're kind of useless. In this game in particular, I was developing my style of Skywrath mage, and you can see that I'm going for Bloodstone and Kaya. I was actually copying Maybe's build in another game, and when you complete it, it's super strong, but in my opinion has a ton of flaws that I discovered as I try to spam this build. In a game you just don't dominate the early game as well, you can get trapped between the level 10 and 15 talent without being able to farm or to complete your Bloodstone. With just 1 arcane bolt at a time, you farm super slow and you feel mega underwhelming, especially with less range with Aetherlands. I tried going Aetherlands into Bloodstone, but it's too slow in my opinion, but I mean, you can try. In regards to counters, TA and PA are the big ones. There's nothing more obnoxious than playing against those heroes, and against them, you're probably going to need a change in item build. Ghost Scepter and Force become necessary, but ideally, you don't want to be playing against those heroes at all. So I definitely recommend less picking Skywrath mid if you're trying to go for it. Against those heroes, I still like to go Veil even before Ghost Scepter or Force Staff, because not only gives you some sort of protection in the early game, but it allows you to kill them and maybe force them to go for early BKB. All in all, I just want to say that I don't feel like Bloodstone or Kai are bad items, it's just that most heroes that go for these items have global abilities like Zeus or escapes like Puck, Quap, and Storm. This is not the case for Skywrath, so unless I know I'm going to snowball super hard, I would rather stick with my early power spike and go for the items I recommended. In regards to late game talents, the global concussive shot is mega garbage, and every time I got to level 25, I got the GPM. I never had a Void in my team, and that's probably the only case I would go for more Mystic Flare damage. This hero, even with eggs and talents, doesn't farm that fast, and always having buyback, being able to farm Side of Eyes, or even buy a Moonshard to an ally is pretty strong. Well guys, as of always, this video is sponsored by Pvgna. They have been supporting this channel ever since its beginning. They released Oracle, a tool that allows you to track your records and see what's the things that you do better than the MMRs above you and below you, and what it is that you need to improve on. If you're interested in more videos about 707, if you're struggling, if you want to learn Pangolier, there's a bunch of new stuff there, so check the link in the description. I'm now partnered with gamersensei, so if you're interested in some coaching sessions, be sure to check the link in the description and try to schedule a lesson with me. And I mean, yeah, that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the new original guide, and hopefully I'll be making more of this in the new patch as I find more stuff to talk about.